Hi everyone, I am just going to give it a couple minutes to notify everyone before we get started with this live, which I am so excited about because I have a lot of topics to cover today, a lot of Q&As, really excited to dive in. So just going to give it a few and then we will get started. And I am filming today on my laptop, so it's a nice widescreen view. Just don't mind my crazy office mess. I haven't had a chance to go through everything and sort it all, as life has been kind of crazy right now, but it is what it is. All right. So I'm just going to get a couple things ready for the live. I have a giveaway and some fun things for the live as well. So I am going to just get my notes ready. All right. Now, the way that the giveaway is going to work, I'll start with that really quick. I am giving away my Seasonal Candida and Parasite Cleanse ebook to one viewer today. This is my top selling book. This book has just been like literally changing lives in terms of cleansing because I include liver and kidney homeopathic drainage in that protocol. So you're doing a Candida and Parasite cleanse alongside liver and kidney drainage, which in my opinion is the only way a cleanse should be done, so that it's safe and you don't get healing crisis or die-off reaction and things like that. So it's an incredible book with so many amazing recipes and resources as well. I am giving it away to one of my viewers or followers today. So all you have to do to enter the giveaway is just kind of stay with me for the duration of this live. It's going to be about probably 30 to 40 minutes, so nothing crazy long. Anyone who would like to enter the giveaway, just put a heart in the chat room. And at the end of the video, before I sign off, I'm going to ask whoever was there from the beginning to just say that they've entered the giveaway, and I will choose someone at the end, and then we'll go from there, and you'll receive your copy tonight. So I will be doing that, which is so fun, and I know you guys will love this book. It's amazing, and it's one of the first programs I created. It took me almost, I think, 8 months straight of just creating this program just so I could make sure it was perfect. So I know you guys are going to love it. Okay, so we went on Instagram yesterday on Holistic Homeopath. My Instagram, I'll just put here, which I share so much information, way more than YouTube. I post day-to-day tips and things, so you guys can check that out. But on my Instagram, I asked you guys to post a bunch of questions that you wanted me to answer. So I'm going to start with those, and then I will answer questions in the chat room. So I'm still answering questions from YouTube as well. Everyone just post your questions to the chat room, and I will get to as many as I can in this live video. I hope you all have been enjoying a beautiful summer. For those of you who are in Canada and the US, I hope you guys all had awesome long weekends. We had a beautiful, beautiful long weekend, and it was just nice. Lots of family time and outings. It was great. So yeah, I just hope everything's been going awesome for you guys. And I think we are good to start. Okay. So I'm going to go to the very first group of questions. Let me see here. I've just got my cell phone. I've got my questions from Instagram here on several pages. So I'm going to start with the first question coming from Jacob, Jacoolb. He says, raw milk thing. I know what you're talking about, Jacob, because I also got quite a few other people asking me about this. Cynthia Farmer, I can't see your full handle on my screenshot, but Cynthia Farmer also asked the same question, and a lot of other people. So I'll start with that one, guys. There's this trend going around that says that, drinking raw milk, doing like the raw milk diet, can help to clear up your autoimmune. So I am going to share my thoughts and opinions on this. Again, there are so many holistic practitioners throughout the world, and they all have different viewpoints, and I think it's nice to respect everybody's different viewpoints. When I share my opinions or my thoughts around something, it is always purely based on my understanding of how the body works, and I incorporate a lot of immunology into what I do, and it's why, in my opinion, my clients get so much more results as far as protocols go, because we're not just, following trends when we're doing protocols or trying to reverse health conditions. We are looking at the person as an individual, saying, what are your issues? And then doing and creating something to address that. And so as soon as I see a trend, like the celery juice cleanse or this raw milk thing, anything like that, I automatically just take a step back and say, there is no way that something that's good for one person is going to be good for everybody. So that's always the first thing to do. And I say it's a red flag immediately, but I'm going to share my thoughts regardless. Okay. So raw milk, is it good for you in general, regardless of autoimmune? To me, the answer is yes and no. It depends what you're doing with it. So I'm going to start off with my autoimmune people watching, or anybody with chronic inflammation or some kind of auto-inflammatory condition. When your body's inflamed, and essentially, like, what is inflammation? What does that even mean? It means that you have a lot of inflammatory cytokines being produced and released continuously, which are targeting your own tissues or different parts of the body and creating a lot more inflammation and histamine. It's activating your mast cells, which also then create even more histamine, and then you end up in this vicious inflammatory cycle. And inflammation destroys our cells and our body. So it can create a host of symptoms, anywhere from joint pain to skin issues to runny nose, and the list goes on. But really, the biggest thing that is occurring is there are triggers in the body that are allowing this continual inflammation production to proceed. And so what is causing that? Well, a lot of times it comes from the gut. So there's toxicity in our cells, there's chronic stress, there's bad diet, there's all kinds of things that will elevate our inflammation. But mainly, a lot of histamine and inflammation is created and produced in our gut. And so what that means is most people who do have chronic inflammation end up also having gut issues. Before I continue, I just want to make sure you guys can hear me okay. So if anyone's having trouble hearing me, I have a different microphone. So if it's not working out, let me know. But with the gut inflammation, if you have an inflamed gut, it doesn't matter what type of dairy you're eating, I highly recommend avoiding it. The reason is, and the same applies to gluten, dairy contains raw, fermented, it doesn't matter what, it contains certain compounds, the casein in the dairy and the lactose, it contains certain compounds that just naturally create two things in the body: dampness and mucus production and inflammation. The reason is just the way that it interacts with our system. And so, yes, if it's raw and unpasteurized, there's probiotics and there's a lot of, amazing enzymes and even nutrients in raw milk. But it does also have that potential to create a lot of mucus, dampness, and inflammation, which can elevate antibodies in the gut. And that directly impacts our inflammation levels throughout our system. So should you be on any kind of raw milk? Should you kind of follow this trend if you have inflammation, chronic inflammation, anything like that? To me, the answer is no. It doesn't matter. Like, for example, I have a lot of clients who I tell to avoid gluten. And so they'll go and make a sourdough, they'll ferment it, they'll use a good quality wheat, and then they'll eat it and they'll still flare up. And it's not because the sourdough is unhealthy. It is the best way. If you're going to have wheat, that is the best way to go, is choose a high quality wheat, like an einkorn or a spelt, and then ferment it and then eat it. And it's so much easier to digest, and it's actually very nutritious, but it still has that potential to elicit that antibody production. And so it still can be inflammatory for you. So even though it's technically considered a health food, I don't recommend it if you have inflammation. And so the same thing applies to the raw milk trend or fad. That being said, some people might consume it, and it might actually help them out. And everybody's different, but I think the majority of people, it will end up creating a lot of mucus and dampness, which in turn will end up creating more pathogenic overgrowth, more or dysbiosis, more inflammation, and then a flare up potentially from that. So I would say just be careful. And as soon as you see something being a trend, there's no one size fits all approach. You want to look at your health as an individual. If you have IBS, it doesn't matter how many people are improving their inflammation with raw milk. or if you have IBD or any kind of like autoimmune gut condition, you want to steer clear of dairy. So again, don't just follow trends. Really do an individualized approach. You will have much better results. Okay, I hope that answers that question. So the next one that I have is rosacea and the root cause. So I actually made a whole video on this already on YouTube. You can find it, and also on my membership platform. I have a lot of info on that on holisticspring.org. But I will touch on this really quick. This is from Rosy Cheeks, and I can't see the rest of your handle, but she asks about rosacea. So rosacea is to me, one of the easiest conditions to actually improve because it stems from the stomach. So most individuals, men or women who have rosacea, typically tend to have an underactive stomach or some kind of stomach imbalance. And simply by correcting that imbalance and improving your stomach function, you can improve your rosacea and clear it up. So a lot of times it's as simple as, if you have an underactive stomach, as taking hydrochloric acid with your meals, and then over time, as your stomach acid levels regulate, that rosacea can calm down. It's just inflammation in the skin from poor digestion. If you have an overactive stomach or some kind of gastritis or strained stomach causing the rosacea, there's a little bit more to it than just taking hydrochloric acid. I would highly recommend, working with a practitioner to figure out what's kind of going on with the stomach and then addressing it. But some things you can do to relax the stomach and improve stomach function is transcutaneous vagal nerve stimulation. This improves your peristalsis, or that downward motion of the system. So it relaxes everything. Any condition that you have where there's an upward motion, whether it's belching and burping, so things coming up, heartburn, stomach, like hiatal hernias, anything coming up in the body, SIBO, which is pathogens coming to the small intestine, that means you've lost your peristalsis, which is a downward motion. So you want to do transcutaneous vagal nerve stimulation, which over time will help to bring that downward motion back in, and everything will start moving downwards, including the stomach, and relaxing. And so that's always a good step to or approach to take. I also would recommend things like aloe vera gel, digestive enzymes, marshmallow root, again, potentially the hydrochloric acid or pepsin. So it really depends on, again, the condition that you have, if it's overactive or underactive, or maybe a hiatal hernia. But rosacea typically tends to be a stomach issue. So I hope that helps. I would definitely check out my video on it. I think it'll explain a lot better, and you can kind of get a little bit more tips, specific tips for it from there. Okay, I had a lot of people. So we had Shivi Dylan, Cassandra, and quite a few other people, Marissa, Michelle, etc., asking about some pregnancy suggestions. So I'm just gonna, for those of you who don't know, I'm 39 weeks pregnant, so baby's almost 39 weeks. So baby's coming anytime now. So I'm gonna just take like literally a minute and just answer this question, because a lot of people were asking for this. So tips for a healthy pregnancy. And Cassandra asks, do you have a birth team or midwife or doula? So just really quickly, I know a lot of you are probably not interested in pregnancy, but bear with me here. I am not having a doula. I decided to not do one. I kind of looked into it, and I'm a person that I just like to be alone and not be like smothered when I'm in pain. So I figured the less people around me, the better. So my support team is my midwives and my husband. But as far as a healthy pregnancy, it is different for everybody. I actually had myself on a homeopathic protocol. I was on drainage remedies and things like that. So I've actually put myself on a protocol to just keep toxicity low, because remember, when you are pregnant, anything that you have in your body can reach the baby, including a lot of toxic chemicals like plastics and PCBs and phthalates and things like that. So my number one tip for anybody who is pregnant, is thinking to get pregnant, know somebody who's pregnant, avoid anything toxic like plastics, fragrances, chemical-based makeup, perfumes, candles, shampoos, conditioners, detergents. Go 100% natural, because all of those chemicals and sulfites and things can pass through the placental barrier and reach the baby. I made a big section, a whole section dedicated to a healthy pregnancy in my hormone course, which you can find on holisticspring.com under the ebooks tab. That hormone course, it's amazing. It's so jam-packed with information, and I go step by step into detail on how to have a healthy pregnancy, exactly what supplements to take, what things to avoid for both the mom and the dad, so the man and the woman, everything that you need to know. So I would definitely say if you're really looking into either getting pregnant or you are pregnant and you want a healthy pregnancy, definitely grab that book. But aside from avoiding all chemicals as much as possible and fragrances and things like that, I just use essential oils for scents and things. Aside from that, as far as supplementation goes, for me, the bare minimum that I did, and I would recommend people do, would be a prenatal. I like to do like a food-based one if I can. I also would recommend highly probiotics, a liver capsule. So I did Genestra's TLIP, which I can type out for you guys. Genestra TLIP, a prenatal, that's with folate, not folic acid. Just typing this out. And then I also recommend probiotics. I did a really potent one from Genestra. And then I did I'll just put the brand. I did Genestra HMF Multi-Strain 100. Oh, I typed that wrong. And then I also did iron, but for me, because I was deficient, you might not need it. High levels, the beef liver, which is TLIP from Genestra. It's a grass-fed bovine like liver capsule, is very high in iron and B vitamins, so that might be enough. I also did greens powder. So I do the Douglas Labs organic greens and reds powder. That was the bare minimum. I just put that in the chat room if you guys want those, and you can find them find these products on puremarket.ca. For me, aside from that, I was pretty sick, so I couldn't take too much more, but I ate really well this pregnancy. I tried with my other ones as well to eat as good as I could. Lots of grass-fed organic foods and eggs and things like tons of dark green leafy veggies, green smoothies, lots of fiber. So just really flooding my body with nutrition. Those are my best tips for you. But like I said, I have so much more information, including homeopathics you can take during pregnancy to support your hormones and things. All of that is in my ebook guide on holisticspring.com. It's the 4 Seasons of a Woman's Cycle. That's the name of the book. And it kind of goes everything from puberty to beyond menopause and everything in between. Okay. Next question. Let's go to the next page as I answered all of these ones. All right. So we have, okay, let me see okay, there's a question from, I don't know how to say this, Khulud, KHULOOD_AB00. I'm not quite sure about the question because I can't see the whole thing, because I just like screenshotted. So how to calm IBS flare-up. I think they mean how to calm down an IBS flare-up. I have low iron. What can I do? So if I'm understanding this question right, this person's asking, how do you calm an IBS flare-up and I have low iron? Okay, so with that, I'm going to start with the flare-up. Typically, when you have an IBS flare-up, there's inflammation in the gut. It's mainly coming from an overload of pathogens, probably something you're eating, so food sensitivities, and a lot of times stress is a huge trigger as well. So what can we do? Number one, you have to reduce your stress. So deep breathing, meditations, transcutaneous vagal nerve stimulation, all highly recommended. In order to also calm down a flare, you want to do really strong anti-inflammatories. I highly recommend turmeric powder, like make a golden milk latte with like a coconut milk. You want to do things like L-glutamine, gelatin in your herbal teas or in your foods, lots of soft, soothing broths, soups, foods, things that are going to reduce inflammation like slippery elm, marshmallow root, aloe vera gel. Those are the kind of things you want to be taking. And this shuts down inflammation quickly in the gut to then buy you time to start killing pathogens, which is the third thing you want to be doing, is killing off the pathogens in the gut that are creating this continual chronic inflammation. So really getting on a good protocol like my seasonal candida and parasite cleanse to really help clear things out, and that can stabilize the gut a lot more and the histamine that's being produced there. Now, you also want to be looking into diet. So like I said, really look at what you're eating and cut everything out that's inflammatory, whether or not you personally have a food sensitivity to it. So for example, you might not genuinely be sensitive to, say, dairy, but you would want to avoid it because whether or not you're sensitive to it, it creates inflammation in the gut and is not ideal for anybody with IBS. So cutting out gluten, dairy, sugars, and high starch foods, processed foods. So all those granola bars or things that come in wrappers or that have like a million ingredients, like cereal and things like that. You want to avoid, highly recommend avoiding bad oils like canola, sunflower, etc. And all of these changes that you make while implementing the soothing things like turmeric and gelatin and L-glutamine and things like that, and doing de-stressing techniques can all really help to bring down a flare quickly. And then when you're able, add in a candida and parasite cleanse to start cleaning up the gut, and you're good to go. Low iron is caused by a lot of different factors, which I won't have time to get into here. But what I can say is I do have a ton of information on low iron on my membership platform, www.holisticspring.org. It's also linked in the description of this video. I highly recommend checking it out because there's a ton of info specifically on low iron. I also have some info on Instagram as well on how you can bring your levels up, and also why you have low iron in the first place, some triggers for it. Okay, what else do we have? We also have, actually, I think those were the main questions from Instagram. So a lot of people were asking kind of the same thing. So now I'm gonna head to the chat here on YouTube and start going through everybody's questions here. I'm gonna take a sip of water first. And there is this fly going around, and I just finished watching Man vs. Bee with Rowan Atkins, aka Mr. Bean, on Netflix. And I'm really feeling like him right now because I've been working in my office all day, and these bees or flies are making me get really frustrated. So it's just reminding me of that, which anyway, that was random, but thought I'd share. All right. So the first one is from Latasha B. She says, I eat healthy, no processed foods or sugar. I've gotten a bad cold twice. Why do I still get so sick when I take all the vitamins, etc.? Okay, really good question, and something I can answer really quickly. Obviously, there's weakened immunity. Why do we have weakened immunity? Everybody's root causes will be different, but a lot of the time there is weakened immunity from things that are occupying your immune system. So our immune system is there to scan our body for viruses, pathogens, cancer cells, etc. When we have inflammation, food sensitivities, dysbiosis in the gut, anything like that, chronic stress, adrenal fatigue, hormonal imbalances, when we have different imbalances in the body, high level of toxicity from our past, our immune system is turning its gaze to something else and trying to attack pathogens or viruses, or trying to remove toxicity from the body, or whatever that the situation may be for you. And so it has less capacity to then, or less energy to fight off pathogens that we contract or viruses that we contract day to day that will cause things like colds or flus. So even if you're taking supplements and eating well, you probably still have imbalances. And again, it could be from your past. Maybe you had a bad diet in the past that created a lot of dysbiosis and internal toxicity that's now weakened the immune system. Or maybe you have a really stressful lifestyle. Maybe you have adrenal fatigue, and so you can't make enough energy for your immune system. Or, there's probably food sensitivities, things like that. A lot of people don't realize that, like, a lot of people look at now and in the moment, and I did this too, so this isn't pointing fingers at anyone, but when you start to get healthy and you take care of your health, you're eating good, you're taking supplements, we kind of forget our whole history, our whole past. We say, oh, we're so healthy now, we've removed all these toxic products from our home and we're following a really good lifestyle. And then we kind of get shocked if we get sick or if we're not feeling good. What we don't realize is that, yes, we're doing good now, which is phenomenal, absolutely amazing, keep up the good work. But if there was anything in our past, any health issues, again, any high levels of stress or bad diet or being on medications chronically, anything like that, that will still need to be addressed because that's all is still in our body. That has to be addressed at some point properly, because even if we're healthy now, we still have those issues from the past that are in our body that are still going to cause imbalances. Being healthy now will prevent any more buildup of toxins and things from the future, hopefully, but we still have the past to address. So a lot of times that could be the case, is just that, yes, you're doing really good now, or maybe over the past several years, but what happened in your teen years, in your childhood, in your early adult years, that has created a state in which your immune system is weakened. And you, by finding that, that can be help you find your root cause, which you can then address and then strengthen the immune system from there. So I hope that helps. I would definitely say too, if you're on antifungals and antipathogenic supplements or taking any kind of detox supplement, especially while you're sick, that's not a good idea. Because if you're sick, you don't want your body worrying about fighting off pathogens. You want to worry about your, explain this better. When you're sick, you don't want your body to worry about fighting off yeast and other things. You want all of that attention to just be on the pathogen or virus you just contracted that's making you sick. So having detox supplements during an illness or continuously without doing drainage or anything like that could cause some imbalances with the immune system as well. So just thought I'd point that out. Hey, Melanie, I'm so glad you're able to join, and that it's your first Q&A. I hope you're enjoying it. All right, let's scroll down. Melanie says, I have not been eating as great and drinking alcohol. I am sluggish all the time. I know I need a heavy metal, kidney, liver, and colon cleanse. I keep overthinking my strategy. What's the best way to start? So I love this question because most people are actually in this situation. Honestly, I think that a lot of people bite off more than they can chew at the start. So they'll go from having a completely unhealthy lifestyle to all of a sudden trying to exercise, going to bed at the right time, eating all the good foods, which is phenomenal. But it can be too much too quickly. And then you either crash and burn because you're depleted and overwhelmed, or it's not sustainable. So starting slow is my go-to. Take an area of your life that you think you are able to change and stick with for a while and start there. So if you've been, say, sluggish, you're kind of not moving much, not exercising, and you don't enjoy it, you're not going to go start working out 5 days a week at the gym or at home and then expect to be able to maintain that for months or even a year plus, right? I mean, some people can. Some people are able to just drop things cold turkey and start a new habit and stick with it, and that's incredible. But most of us are not like that. So maybe that's something you would address later and start off by saying, I am going to have just one super healthy meal every single morning. So start off my morning with a bang and make a green smoothie. So even if the rest of the day is horrible food and you didn't move your body and you didn't do anything productive or healthy in that sense, at least you had a good start to your morning. So always take baby steps. Once you're like, oh my gosh, I love having this healthy breakfast every morning, then take the next step and say, you know what, maybe I'm going to remove a certain ingredient from my diet, like gluten as an example. And I'm going to start eating everything gluten-free. I'm going to learn how to bake gluten-free. I'm going to go buy gluten-free things and then just do that. And when you're comfortable with that, then maybe say, okay, I think I'm ready to start cutting out sugars. And you start cutting out all your sugars and honeys and maple syrup and substitute for natural sweeteners, sugar-free sweeteners, and just keep going from there. So there's no rush, and any small change, any positive change you make, no matter how small, is going to impact your health in a positive way. So think about it that way rather than all or nothing. I actually just did a live video on my Instagram, which is Holistic Homeopath, and it is literally talking about this, how people think you have to do everything at once or nothing at all, and that's not true. Just start really slow, pick something that you feel is easy for you to do. If that's honestly just having an herbal tea every day and making that a new habit, perfect. So find something that works for you, start there, and you will start to see the more you get into health and nourishing your body, the more you will literally crave it and you will want to be healthy more and more and more. And so you'll start making more changes naturally to your lifestyle. So I hope that helps. Okay, Paul asks, is 120 grams of net carbs per day a lot for a 30-year-old male? Would it be dangerous to do a full keto diet only 1 month every year? Okay, so obviously without knowing like your health conditions or concerns, I can't necessarily comment on whether or not 120 grams of carbs is too much. What I will say is just for anybody in general, it's not that carbs are evil or horrible. It's that most of us just choose the wrong carbs. So it depends on what carbs you're choosing. I always tell my clients, like when we do protocols, I never make my clients go keto or super low carb. We always incorporate carbs, just what I call the yes carbs. So, what are the yes carbs? The yes carbs are the ones that are not going to spike your blood sugar. And when they get broken down, it's not pure glucose. When they get broken down, there's so much fiber and things like that in the carbs that there's actually very little starch or glucose left at the end of the byproduct. So those are the kind of carbs you want to be having. So for example, you don't want to be having anything that's really sugary. So anything like banana, watermelon, honey, maple syrup, avoid those. Instead, have carbs coming from fruit that are sour, like berries or green apples. Instead of doing a really starchy, empty carb like a potato, you would do squash instead, which is much higher in fiber, has much higher water content, and it still does have carbs. So you can do like butternut squash instead of a potato. Same thing goes for beans. Instead of doing kidney beans or something like that, which do contain a lot of starch, you could do lentils, which are much higher in fiber when broken down. And then same thing goes for rice. Instead of doing, say, white rice or something like that, you could do quinoa or buckwheat or millet, which again are so much higher in fiber, way more nutrition. And so when broken down, they're not going to be feeding pathogens as much or anything like that. So it's what I call the ditch and switch with the carbs. We recommend that everybody cuts out the majority of the bad carbs that are really starchy and just stick to the yes carbs. Now, you don't have to do this your whole life. So it also depends on your goals, Paul. If you are currently on a cleanse, if you're trying to kill pathogens, if there's a specific goal that you're trying to achieve, I would say get really strict with your carbs. But once you've achieved that health status, whatever it is you're going for, day to day, you want to try to eat just the yes carbs, but it doesn't mean that you can never have the bad carbs in that sense. Doesn't mean you can never have potato or bananas or rice. I mean, I do, and I enjoy it, but it's in moderation. So if I have rice one day of the week, then I'll just make sure the rest of the week I'm doing the better carbs. If I'm going to have a banana, which sometimes I just crave banana with almond butter, I'll have it and enjoy it because bananas are still nutritious, but I'll just be careful that I'm not doing banana and rice and other fruit and other sugars in the day, because then that does add up to a lot of carbs. So you're not looking necessarily at the grams, you're looking more at how much sugar is actually in that carb when it's broken down, and kind of sticking with the ones that are higher in fiber. I hope that makes sense and answers your question. Now, as far as keto diet goes, I've mentioned this really many times, so I'll just answer it quickly here. Obviously, again, I don't know your health status or history, so I can't really say specifically for you, but in general, I don't recommend a keto diet for anyone except in very specific situations. If anybody has, like if you have not done liver drainage before, if you have had an unhealthy past, I always recommend first draining the liver and cleaning it out, then switching to keto if you would like, just because keto is so high fat, it can burden the liver a lot, because anything that we eat that's fat-based puts pressure on the liver to break down and to eliminate and balance, etc. And if your liver is already overburdened, you don't want to put too much more burden on the liver. So keto diet's amazing, but I always recommend supporting the liver and doing some liver cleansing and drainage first, and then trying the keto diet. And yes, if you're going to do the keto diet, it's great to do it for a short period of time. So you don't want to follow it for the rest of your life. So like 1 month a year could be really great if your body's able to handle that. All right, moving on. This question is about how can we improve our energy levels without energy drinks? So what foods can we consume? So I love this. My go-to, you guys know this if you follow me on Instagram, is matcha. It is one of the best ways to get a little bit of an energy boost, but it's a superfood. It's got so much EGCG, which is incredible for our immune system, for our skin, and so much more. It is anti-inflammatory. It has L-theanine, so it gives you a steady, calming energy rather than like coffee, which spikes your energy and then drops it. It's also very alkaline as well. So in terms of drinks, matcha is my go-to. But for food in general, you could try doing like ginger. Ginseng is really great. So I'll make like a ginseng and ginger tea. I also find that by having a lot of greens, your energy levels will spike because there's lots of B vitamins, which can boost energy. So making like a really nourishing lunch, for example, which is like, I put a ton of organic arugula on the bottom, some cooked quinoa. I'll top it with like organic broccoli and Brussels sprouts, some healthy protein, and then one of like my favorite Primal Kitchen dressings. This will keep you full and it will boost your energy because it has all the greens in it, which again are really high in B vitamins. And then also you can do some fruit. I personally like, my favorite go-to for fruit is going to be a grapefruit, green apples, or berries. I love the more sour fruits in general. So doing something like that on the side can also help. But yeah, my go-to for quick energy would be matcha. But otherwise, if you're feeling really tired or fatigued, you want to be addressing adrenal fatigue and supporting your adrenals in that sense. So these are just like small little fixes. But if you're actually feeling really tired and it's not because you haven't slept, then I would say start looking at supporting your adrenals. All right, just scrolling. Okay, William Long says, I reached out to you for a private session and didn't get a response. William, I am really sorry. I am actually really good at getting back to people. I get back to everybody as long as I actually receive an email. So if you have sent an email with an inquiry about a consult and you didn't get a response, maybe check spam folder. A lot of people reach out to me and then they email me back weeks or months later and say, hey, I never heard back. And then I send them like a screenshot of my reply and then they find it in their spam folder. So that could have been the case, but if you really didn't get a response from me, I am really sorry because like I said, I am pretty good at getting back to people, but obviously I'm human, so sometimes there might be an error there. If you haven't got a response from me, reach out again and I will hopefully see it this time around, but I'll answer your question here. So I want to get the toxins out of my system. Do you know of any holistic doctors in New York that you can recommend? So I don't know of any doctors in New York that are holistic. I live in Canada, so I kind of have like my colleagues around me in this area that I know really well. As far as New York, I don't know. But what I do recommend people do is literally on Google, I search 3 different things. So, and you can do this too, and it might help you find a really good practitioner. You can search either just functional medicine doctor and then New York and see what comes up. Or I recommend searching homeopathic doctor New York. Or if you're looking for more like just nutrition advice and you don't really care to have like necessarily a doctor, you can search like holistic nutrition practitioner in New York. You will be amazed at actually how many things pop up. But what I recommend doing is then like kind of sift through who you think might be a good fit for you and then reach out to them. Say like, hey, I'm looking for help with X condition. These are my symptoms. This is kind of what I'm dealing with. Do you think this is something that you're able to help me tackle? And just kind of see their response. A lot of them will give you a response you might not like, and you'll be like, okay, we're not going to be a good fit. Others might explain exactly what they would do with your situation, and it might be exactly what you're looking for. So definitely a quick Google search to get a bunch of names, narrow it down from there by just sending a message. I just type out one email and copy and paste to everybody. That's what I would recommend doing. So I hope that helps. Other than that, I don't have any names off the top of my head that I could recommend because I'm not actually familiar with many people in the US, many practitioners. So I am sorry about that. All right, let me see here. Just going down. Zara Sparkle asks, how long and often should you be on antifungals? And guys, I'll be ending the live soon, just letting you know. So how long should you be on antifungals? It depends. What I can say is if you have a decent amount of dysbiosis, so if you have skin conditions, gut issues, recurring yeast infections or UTIs or anything like that that indicate that you have overgrowth, thrush, eczema or anything around the mouth or armpits, groin, fungal issues on your toes or anything like that. So any indication that there's overgrowth in the body, you're probably going to want to be on antifungals for a good 6 months, if not longer. The reason, and everybody's different, so this is just like a rough estimate. I've had clients who are on antifungals for over a year, and the pathogens were just so stubborn. It really depends on a lot of factors. One, did you ever take antibiotics in your lifetime? A lot of people who are on frequent antibiotics or steroids or things like that have more resilient pathogens in the body that are harder to kill off, and so it will take longer. The other question to ask yourself is, do you have biofilms? If you have any recurring infection, so recurring UTI, recurring yeast infection, IBS or SIBO, anything like that that's a biofilm related condition, then you probably are going to have to be on antifungals a lot longer, because first, in order to kill pathogens, you have to destroy and disrupt the biofilms, then kill off the pathogens hiding inside. That takes a long time. Killing off biofilms and breaking them down is a long process, and you can't succeed in that until you've substantially reduced dampness and mucus in the body and have been on remedies for quite a while. So it just really depends on that. But I always suggest minimum 90 days. Anything shorter than that, you probably won't get much done. So 60 to 90 days is better. 90 days is best. And when you're on them, you don't want to stop. You just keep going, 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 and keep working on clearing everything out until they are gone. And you kind of have a good idea if pathogens have reduced or are gone when your symptoms really start to clear up and you're feeling a lot better. Lastly, you can never 100% get rid of pathogens. You always will have some degree of dysbiosis or overgrowth. I don't want to say dysbiosis actually, because that's misleading. You shouldn't have dysbiosis, but you'll always have some degree of pathogens because that's just part of how the body is. We always have some bad, but the majority should be good pathogens good bacteria and probiotics in the body. And then just a small amount of pathogens so that they're not able to go out of control and overgrow. They start to overgrow and get out of control when our immune system gets weakened and when we have a lot of inflammation that our good probiotics die off, and then the bad ones are allowed to kind of roam free. So disrupting biofilms and clearing pathogens out, it takes a while. I have some clients who, like I said, a year or more on them, and they're still going strong. So it just really depends on the person and what your health history has been like. If you've been, again, on a lot of antibiotics and things, it's probably going to take quite a bit longer. I hope that answers your question. All right. Okay, so Sufi O says, what can I do to clear ingrown hair on calves? I'm pescatarian, protein deficient, dehydrated, diagnosed with candida. So this is, I feel like a question that's probably better for like an esthetician or someone, but what I can say typically is a good starting point that's really natural and an easy way to do it is to dry brush. Before showers is best. Get a dry brush and go in a circular motion from the lower parts of the body upwards, so towards the heart. And by doing this dry brushing, it kind of breaks very gently though, but it breaks that top layer of skin and allows any hairs that might be forming under those thin layers of skin to come back out. So that's what I would be recommending, is just continue to dry brush. Make this like a daily thing or at least a few times a week, and it might be able to help a lot with that condition. But other than that, especially if you are, I don't know if there's hair removal involved, like if you're doing like waxing, shaving, any kind of hair removal, then you want to be making sure you're doing like the best kind of hair removals for preventing ingrown hairs. Shaving is not ideal. It's best to try to remove hairs by the root. So sugaring or something like that can be the best way to go, but definitely dry brush first. Okay. Paul asks, what is the one supplement everyone should take? I love this question. I wish I could answer it I can't really say there's a supplement everybody should be on because again, there's that one size fits all approach. Something that works for a lot of people still probably won't work for at least a small percentage of the population. So I'm not going to say that this is a supplement for everyone, but a supplement that I find most people thrive on and is something that I do recommend in our toxic world today would be a liquid chlorophyll or a chlorella. These greens, they're a good quality one. They're so potent in the chlorophyll content that they soak up a lot of toxicity and pull it out through our stool. So they kind of like, they're internal deodorizers. They clean out the inside of our body, and they're plant-based. So whether you're vegan or not, this is great for you. And they are very alkaline. They contain a lot of minerals like copper, zinc, magnesium. So they're really beneficial. And one of my favorite things to get my clients on to start cleaning out the colon. Now, again, there might be some people who shouldn't be on these. So it's, again, I'm not gonna say it's for everybody. There's no supplement I think that everyone should take, but a good majority of us could really benefit from a chlorophyll or chlorella. Chlorella tends to be better if you have healthy flowing bowels, if there's no like clogging or congestion within your digestive system. If you feel backed up, constipated, anything like that, chlorophyll is probably a better option. I should have turned my light on, by the way, because it's starting to get grainy as the sun goes down. So I apologize for the quality dropping. My light is way too far for me to reach now without having to get up. So I'm going to try to finish this live before the sun is completely gone. But yeah, Paul, I hope that answers your question. I would say definitely chlorophyll or chlorella. It's something that my whole family takes very often. We used to take it every single day for a while. And then once we really cleaned out our systems and our body, then we kind of take it more as maintenance. So just a couple times a week. But one thing I will say as well on this topic, I have seen, and I really, really wish I did before and afters, or I got my clients to do before and afters for these because it's incredible. But I have a lot of clients. The people I deal with are people who have major autoimmune, major chronic inflammation, like really bad health conditions that have not been able to be fixed anywhere else. And that's typically the people that I work with. And most of these individuals who are so overrun with toxicity have very yellow, the whites of their eyes are very yellow. And when I get them on chlorophyll or chlorella, you can really start to see the whites of the eyes turn whiter and whiter and whiter. And it's like my most favorite thing. It's so satisfying to me because, I love it. When you see someone with really unclear eyes and if there's a lot of yellowing or yellow spots, and then it starts to turn whiter and crisper, and it's just, it's so satisfying. And I really wish people did before and afters of their eyes. I always forget to ask them to do that. It's really hard to get like reviews and before and afters and testimonials. And I don't want to harass people, but I wish I did, because if you guys see these, it's incredible. And honestly, a lot of that is to do with the chlorella and the chlorophyll. It just soaks up so much toxicity and just binds to it and eliminates it through the stool. So we are all very toxic in this world that we live in. And I think it's important that we all detoxify as much as we can. So again, Paul, it's not something I would say 100% everybody needs to be on because everyone's different, but majority of us can benefit. All right. So I think that's everything I have time for, guys. I'm going to sign off. But before I do, of course, the giveaway is promised. So whoever was here at the start that put a heart in, just comment down below and say I entered the giveaway or entered something like that. And I will just kind of close my eyes and point to a name. And then I will have you send me your email and you will get your free copy of my Candida Cleanse ebook. So you guys can go ahead and do that now. I'll just sit here for a few minutes while everyone gets a chance to put that in. I'm telling you, this is like my best-selling book. It's incredible. It has so much information in it. And it doesn't matter where you are in your health journey, it's going to benefit you one way or another. Even if you don't follow the cleanse and just read the information in there or just use it for the recipes, you're going to have a good time. So I hope that you guys enjoy that. Perfect. I'm just going to wait a few more minutes, and I will try, if YouTube lets me, to post this live saved onto my channel so you guys can rewatch it if you need to, or for those of you who are not able to attend the live and who asked a question on Instagram, you can then come see my response later. All right, I'll give it one more minute and then I will choose a person and go from there. Perfect. I'm just scrolling through the comments here. All right, I'm looking away. I'm going to point to one. Okay, I'm going to like just do like a quick thing with my hand and then I'll point to one. I landed on, oh, my eyes. Wellness 123. Wellness 123 is the winner. Congratulations. So what you need to do is just send me an email. I will put it in the comments, health@holisticspring.com, and just say like, hey, I attended the live session and I'm claiming my gift. Holisticspring.com. I think that's the right one. It's so dark in here now. Okay. There you go. Just send us an email. Let us know that you were the winner and we will email it to you right away. And I'm so excited for you to dive into that. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for joining. I'll do more of these. I'm on maternity leave in my business soon, and I'm going to be like really neglecting YouTube for a bit, as I'm due in like a week, but I will be doing these lives. These are easier for me than sitting down, filming a video, editing it, posting it, etc. So I will be doing a lot more of these, don't worry. But if you guys want more of these kinds of videos, I post my live Q&As. I do a lot more live Q&As and things on the membership platform, holisticspring.org. I would love to have you join as part of my community. You guys get to ask me any questions you want, as many as you want, and you get everything answered by me. And you get access to so many resources, thousands of dollars worth of resources, videos, content, etc. So I would love for you to join me over at holisticspring.org if you are not there already. And just again, part of my community, we chat all the time. I'm there every single day replying to questions, comments, etc. So I hope you join. Thank you for joining this video, and I hope you have a beautiful night and enjoy the rest of your summer, and that everybody is having amazing health and everything is safe and just perfect for everyone. I will talk to everybody soon. Have a beautiful night, and yeah, I'll see everyone soon.